I will not speak to you only about peace, for the precondition of peace is justice. When we have achieved justice, we will have achieved peace in the Middle East. I need not remind the General Assembly that we would not today have sustained the deaths of thousands of our soldiers and citizens if the Palestine injustice, with all its many facets, had been prevented. Today's war is not a new war, but part of the old war, which will go on for scores of years if the moral and physical wrong done to the Arabs is not righted. The latest aggression occurred on June 5th, when Israel, by her own admission, opened an all-out air and ground attack against the Arab states. In an age of supersonic aircraft and guided missiles, with distances shortened to minutes, aggressors have a unique military advantage. Israel, I need not tell you, is a skilled adversary in the joint arts of concealed aggression and propaganda. Thus, it has lived in contempt for United Nations resolutions. Do I have to remind you that this latest attack by Israel is not an isolated example, but part of a deliberate Israeli expansionist policy. Although they have somehow made it appear that they are a tiny, unarmed country surrounded by Arab bullies, the facts are that the Israelis, and not the Arabs, have been denounced repeatedly in these chambers for their aggressions over the last 19 years. For many of these years, Israel had been planning the master aggression that began on June 5th. This was no sudden act of violence. It was not even one of its so-called retaliatory acts. It was an act of war as vicious as the Blitzkrieg of Poland, or as stunning as the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. That Jordan, without adequate means, was unable to cope with it is a matter I will deeply regret all the days of my life. Against undreamt of firepower both in the air and on the land, it is already clear that they were as vicious in their treatment of our soldiers and civilians as any barbarian invader. Specifically, I charge the Israelis with the widespread use of napalm and fragmentation bombs, with inhuman and indecent treatment of prisoners of war, with looting and destroying Jordanian and other Arab towns and villages, and driving the inhabitants from their homes, with adding to the refugee problem by acts of vandalism, terror, and confusion, with firing at or over the heads of refugees to prevent them from recrossing the Jordan and returning to their homes. Their aim is clear: to make life so impossible for our people that they will have nothing to return to. This is the policy Israel followed so successfully in 1948, and which she appears determined to repeat again. The battle which began on June 5th will then become only one battle in what will be a long war. The political state of David and Solomon lasted only 70 years. That of the Crusaders, just under 100. It might be well for Israel to reread its history.